Hi everyone, it's me, Arielle, and it's Wednesday Warriors. This week I'm going to be talking a lot about self-nurturing and self-empowerment. Last week I discussed self-care, and even though self-care and self-nurturing and self-empowerment go hand in hand, there are some differences, at least in my mind, and I want to be able to explain that to you. Self-nurturing and self-empowerment are slightly different than just plain old self-care in that self-care is simple things that can help you to feel better, help you to take care of yourself, and put yourself first. And when I'm talking about things like self-nurturing and self-empowerment, I'm thinking more along the lines of engaging in hobbies and activities that give us a sense of pride. Things that make us feel like our most authentic selves. So, for example, opposed to last week when I was talking about simple things in self-care like taking a hot bath to take care of yourself after a hard day when you need some time to yourself and some relaxation. It's a wonderful thing, but taking a relaxing bath isn't necessarily an activity or a hobby or something that you would take pride in, not something that would make you feel like your most authentic self, if that makes sense. When we talk about self-nurturing and self-empowerment, it's really important to talk about ourself versus others, because a lot of the time people don't put themselves first, but they don't put themselves even on the same plane as other people. They really like to do things for other people, whether it's family or friends or acquaintances, and they feel like other people really deserve X, Y, and Z, but they don't feel that they deserve those same things, and of course we do. So because we don't put ourselves on the same plane as other people, it's sometimes easy to neglect ourselves, and sometimes it can be hard to recognize that we need extra self-nurturing and extra self-empowerment. I think certain things in self-nurturing and self-empowerment come naturally, and we don't realize that they are empowering to us until we stop and think about it and assess the things in our daily life that really can be seen as empowering things. Recognizing the things that you already do that are empowering and nurturing to you and your personality and your identity and your very self and well-being is important, because once you recognize those things that you already do, you can incorporate them more, or you'll know what they are to be your go-to things when you are having a rough time or when you do need that little extra push. It's already tried and true, and you just know that you can go there. I wanted to point something out that I thought of immediately when I was reading the topic for this week. When I'm talking about knowing and recognizing when you might need a little more self-nurturing or self-empowerment, it doesn't necessarily have to be during times when you are feeling very sad or depressed or something terrible has happened, or you're in a funk or any of those things. Those times are very important times, obviously, to self-nurture and self-empower. But sometimes I think you want to remember that maybe when you're just bored and you're in a rut, you're at home, you are just bored, you don't have anything to do, you don't know what you want to do, you feel restless. It's not necessarily a sad, depressed feeling, but sometimes a feeling of boredom can actually be an indication that you need to do something to go back to your authentic self. You need to self-nurture a little bit more, you need to self-empower a little bit more. And it doesn't have to be something like a hobby, like picking up paintbrushes and a canvas and creating a work of art in order to get back to your authentic self. It can be whatever it is for you that's going to give you a sense of pride. It might be, for example, reading a book from cover to cover in a weekend when you haven't read a book for months. And by finishing a book, you're going to have a sense of pride because you were able to go back to something that you enjoyed doing and you gave yourself that time to do so. You really have to fit this to you. Everyone is different. I also think sometimes that people shirk away from that sense of pride because somehow being proud of ourselves feels uncomfortable, sort of like taking a compliment. Some people find it very difficult to accept a compliment without feeling uncomfortable. It's that sense of we don't deserve it, or we don't deserve it as much as someone else deserves it. We're so good at being good to other people, but maybe not so good at being nice to ourselves. Recognizing what gives you a sense of pride and nurturing that sense of pride is important in being a confident person, in being a well-rounded person, in being a person who is healthy in body, mind, and spirit. And just because you have pride in yourself and in the things you do doesn't make you arrogant. It just makes you happy, fulfilled. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about different kinds of empowerment, and they're going to seem very simple because they are, but again, they're so simple we don't think about them. So there's physical empowerment, and physical empowerment would involve things like eating, and that might mean eating more if you're not eating enough, or eating the right foods because you know that you aren't incorporating the right things into your diet. It might mean your environment while you're eating, taking care of yourself at the meal times, eating at the right times, nurturing yourself while you're in the actual activity of eating, and caring for your body. In physical empowerment, things like if you are going for a run every day and you injure your leg, if you're injured, you need to give yourself those days of rest, those days off. You have to take a break. And by allowing yourself the break so that you can heal, so you can go back to the exercise that you enjoy, it's self-empowerment, and it's a form of physical empowerment by not pushing yourself, taking care of your body. Mental empowerment would involve things like positive affirmations, where you want to really instill in yourself that you are a good person, you are worthy of being loved, you're beautiful the way you are, all the things that we hear that may or may not sound cliched, but nevertheless are true, and you'll know the things that you need to hear more than others, and surround yourself with those things, surround yourself with the right people, the right quotes, the right pieces in your environment that are really going to help you to have a positive outlook every day. That's just one example of mental empowerment. There's also emotional empowerment and spiritual empowerment, which will, again, be different for different people, but you can sort of use your creativity, your imagination, how you can help those things get you to your authentic self. Not that you have to go back to your authentic self. You are an authentic person. It's just about reminding yourself what you need most, what you like best, what most fulfills you, and going there and doing that so that you can be the happiest person that you can be in that moment, in that day. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time.